Welcome to Screen to Speed, powered by Init Esports. In this podcast, we dive into the journeys of remarkable individuals making waves in sim racing and bridging the virtual with the real. From the thrill of digital circuits to the roar of real life racetracks, we explore the passion, dedication, and innovation that drives the world of motorsports. We'll hear from athletes, creators, and pioneers sharing their stories, insights, and the powerful ways sim racing is connecting communities and creating pathways into motorsports. So buckle up, Screen to Speed starts now.
Welcome everyone to Unit Talks. Happy to see everybody here. Tonight we got Luca Munro with us. Welcome in.
Hello, thank you, Leoboff, and thank you to everyone within Init who's asked me to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking your time and be with us tonight. So let's start with how you get into sim racing, how you get into this industry, and so actually how you start your way into it.
Yeah, I'll provide some background. So I have been a writer for the sim racing publication website OvertakeGG since June 2021. I've always been very big into racing and gaming. I've always been a firm believer in its brilliance. And as far as PC sim racing goes, I've been involved semi-competitively within it since about 2023, which would surprise some people considering what I've been doing for a living long before that. But yeah, this industry is absolutely phenomenal. I'm genuinely very privileged to be a small cog in this very big machine.
That's great. So how you actually get into Overtake GG, how you found each other?
So it was actually I was doing a 3-year degree at university. This might surprise some people about comic books, which I don't think many people would believe, but it's true. And I had actually entered into it because I decided I wanted to work in some kind of like artistry industry. Specifically, I wanted to potentially create like designs for cars within Grand Theft Auto, which because if you don't play Grand Theft Auto, basically all the cars are fictional, but they're based on real cars very loosely. And I was about what 2 years into it when I sort of realized that maybe Rockstar wouldn't exactly be the best work environment for me. And but it was around about that time that I discovered Overtake. I'd been writing for a publication, a voluntary publication called The Pit Crew Online until then, writing about sim racing. And I discovered Overtake when they put on an event called Clash of Races. And in fact, I believe you were involved in one of those, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong. Point is that I discovered that I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I forged quite a good connection with Overtake. And then I applied in the latter part of 2020 and got accepted. And it's been a very wild ride. We've gone through many phases of leadership, but I've always stayed, and it's a job I'm very privileged to have.
That's really great that you found each other, and I'm pretty sure that you had some kind of passion in racing before that. So, do you remember maybe you play some racing games in your childhood or something like this? So, tell me more about this.
Yeah, I was introduced to racing games relatively young. My brother had a copy of the 2004 F1 game, and he had a very basic steering wheel, and he would like balance. I would balance his steering wheel like on my knees and press the pedals into the carpet. And we would spend quite a while just driving. I was always Michael Schumacher because everyone loves the red car, and uh, I would beat him predominantly most of the time, but the only times I couldn't beat him was whenever we were driving at Monaco and he would just wall ride everywhere, and I would try and do it legitimately, and he'd do it in less than a minute. Always irritated me that. But going on from then, I got into. I was mainly always a PlayStation guy, so the F1 games, Gran Turismo, those sorts of games were my mainstays. I was not into like the arcadey stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. Um, and for the longest time, I actually kind of stayed I mentioned earlier that I only got into PC sim racing for 2023 because I was just so like overwhelmed by it, like all the various things, and I thought with how expensive PCs are, you know, like most people pay north of £2,000 for, I don't know, just the processor or something. And I was just like, I don't know if I could ever justify the expense of that. So I just sort of told myself to be content with what I have and to not overreach. But then we'll get to it later. I had my reasons for getting into PC sim racing, and I ended up with United Sim Team, who a couple of the people behind the scenes of Init are involved with the running of, and it's been quite a wild journey since 2023. I've come a very long way, and I'm very fulfilled by all the sim racing I've been able to do.
Yes, you mentioned that you was a big fan of Michael Schumacher. I was as well during my childhood. So I raced in karting and also was really passionate about Ferrari and Michael Schumacher these days. And many people, I think, started from console. Actually, it's a really good way to start some racing because it's not really expensive. It's a good way to just try some racing if you want to continue. So just like happened for you, for example, yeah. So you just started with console, then you felt like, oh, this is what I really want to do, and then you started to get funds for the PC and move to PC sim racing, and it's great, I think.
Yeah, and the thing you say about there, like it's always a good start. I think everyone needs that initial foot in the door, metaphorically speaking. And consoles have always been a very relatively easy entry point for a lot of people. Like even with the more sort of arcadey style of driving, and for me, when I was mainly just stuck with the F1 game and Gran Turismo for a while, and I convinced myself I probably wouldn't be that good on the hardcore simulations like, you know, iRacing and ACC and R Factor and all that, because I didn't think I was doing that good on the console. So how could you don't want to fall into a trap of thinking, oh, if I spend more, I'll do better. But thankfully, I overcame that and been able to do semi good in a lot of different events.
So tell me, please, how is your transition went from console to PC? So actually, what was your first simulator on PC? So when you jump into it.
Well, I definitely tried to acclimatize myself by making the try and identify the gaps between PC and PlayStation by going for a common title, and that was Assetto Corsa Competizione. Both of them being on PlayStation and PC, and so I think that was a good idea, because if I'd gone straight for something like R Factor or iRacing, I would have been too overwhelmed and just sort of like bailed out of panic. But it was surprisingly quite familiar to me, being able to manage the like in-game menus and how where everything is and how to install everything. And you know, there's so many files when you go to, like, for example, when you go like get setups from your setup provider, you have to know where everything is, and and there's so much involved. But thankfully for me, I had a lot of good people around me. This was before I actually got involved with United Sim Team. I had a lot of people within the community who were helping me with hardware specifications, and the biggest one that I believe a lot of people might take for granted is it's the monitor. Like, I have a traditional 16:9 48-inch monitor. I used to have a 58-inch flat screen TV, and I didn't realize at the time the amount of input lag I had, and I trained myself so much to just like turn the steering wheel in advance, and it was like a really bad habit. And then it was actually Johan Half, who is an Apex Racing Team driver, who insisted that I needed to get a proper fast input rate monitor. And it wasn't until I actually had the monitor installed and I went to turn the wheel, and I accidentally hit a wall on turning, because I'd programmed myself to turn in too early. And so it was quite alarming. And eventually I got used to it, and I'm really glad that I gave into Johan's advice, because it was kind of necessary.
Yeah, monitor one of the most important thing for sim racing, I think, because the responsive time and also, for example, I got triple. It gives me more angle view to the situation which we got in the race, so that's cool to have always. So when people coming to my streams, I usually telling them that you have to like think about your pedals first and then upgrade like screen which you got, and then think about wheel and the rest stuff on your rig.
Yeah, definitely, and it's absolutely necessary. Do not dismiss that advice. I learned the hard way.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. So you said that you've been in ACC. Did you do any leagues? Like when was the moment when you started to think like I would like to take sim racing more seriously and on higher level for yourself?
So, a very good one there. It's actually quite intrinsically connected to United Sim Team. So basically, United Sim Team and previous guys were involved in a championship called the eSports Racing League, which was by VCO. And I was actually semi-involved in the conceptualizing of this championship, where I envisioned the ultimate sim racing championship that would test drivers in a variety of different cars, tracks, and sims. Because someone who is very good in an open wheel or on iRacing may not necessarily be that good in a GT car on ACC
Hmm.
or any other potential combination. And I would like to think that I came up with that idea, but it was actually the idea, predominantly Florian Harsper, who heads up VCO, who came up with that incredible idea. And so I watched and I idolized all these incredible high-level esports sim racers, and I just thought, well, I'm never going to be like that. You know, I'm just gonna be content with watching from my PlayStation. And but then it was in the lead up to, they had 3 seasons within 2022, and it was the last season when I decided, oh, I really want to be involved in this. I really want to just be in this championship just to say that I have been. And then I got in contact with Yvonne Hufla, who very kindly allowed me to take up a spot within the team. And I didn't end up doing ERL for pure logistical reasons, because I didn't have my own dedicated PC at the time. And it was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it for real. And that's when I started getting the hardware. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any other esports racing league action since, and I'm just praying that Florian will finally bring it back. But if he doesn't, there was another event that, well, I know that you've also been involved with, VCO Infinity, which was another event that I sort of came up with the idea of. Basically, both of these events, I've always thought of sim races as being not necessarily better, but have a different level of quality to real life races, because they can jump from, you know, a single seater at Silverstone and then be at Spa in a GT car in less than a few clicks. And so I've always believed in the value of versatility. I consider myself a bit of a sim racing journeyman, because I never want to just get too comfortable in one car or on one sim, and I want to
Hmm.
try and like branch out, because the value for me is getting being a jack of all trades, even if I'm not a master of any, basically.
Hmm. You said about VCO Infinity Van, yeah, what was taking part in this? I remember I was driving the Xfinity cars road course. It was
I
huge.
was terrible.
Why terrible? It was great. I know that was the best experience for me because it was really hard actually to control the gas on this car. So I really tried to pay more attention than ever on like cars like GT3 or Porsche Cup, which I'm driving most of the time in a racing. And that was really interesting because you're like, okay, on the exit, we're going to be careful with throttle. It was great experience, definitely. And I also took a part in previous VCO events, which been Pro Sim. So we had like in real life drivers and sim racers alongside on the track. Um, Great events, and I'm looking forward for next VCO. Definitely, Florian doing an amazing job with this event, getting involved a lot of different people, a lot of famous racing drivers. So I raced on the same track with Rubens Barco. It was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Uh,
yeah, you can go.
Yeah, I just want to say there when I said I was referring to myself in that particular car. That was my second race in the event. I did 5, and I got the Xfinity just for the Monza race. And oh man, I was like 3 seconds slower than the person directly ahead of me on the grid. I know we started quite close, and you passed me at one point, and I was just like, no, don't be the person that takes all of 46. I'm gonna let it go. You know, because if I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I'd have messed you up.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was really fun, especially at Monza. Monza, that's the track where everybody crashing in T1. So with Xfinity, it was a fun track to drive with, definitely. You mentioned versatility is a key in sim racing. So can you explain why that's so important to you? Because, usually I'm trying to stick with one car, like that was for me when I did the first season in GT Freeze, and I tried to stick with the one car for the whole season and try to not jump to like formulas or to other cars because from my side I think it's really important to when you're starting just stick with the one car because this is how you're building the good base, so without jumping around things.
Yeah, well, a lot of sim racers that I have idolized have been ones who are never always firmly stuck in one car or one sim. So, for example, Enzo Benito, he is to me one of the best. Frederick Rasmussen, who has recently won the F1 sim racing championship, but he's also a champion on iRacing and R Factor, which you can imagine how big the gaps that are there in terms of the quality and the abilities needed. And also Ulash Ojildirim, who is good on the F1 game, good on Rennsport, good on iRacing, good at ACC. I've always been of the opinion that it's perfectly legitimate to be only that good in maybe a single seat on iRacing, for example. But for me, I like the idea of having the challenge to jump around on different cars and make sure that I don't get too comfortable in one, so that I'm always kind of I'm not relaxed, which I guess is kind of a thing with me where I'm quite hectically jumping. Like most weekends now, I'm always doing like as many solo endurance races as possible. Just the week before last, I did 3 solo enduro races across the weekend, and I actually got some decent results. I got a 4th, a 5th, and 14th in a all GT3 race, the last one. And having those experiences really feels very fulfilling. I could just get myself comfortable in the one car. And I guess when it comes to iRacing and Enduros, I'm kind of good in sports cars, but I find that I guess ever since the road license split on iRacing, I haven't done that many Formula car races because I'm petrified of losing safety rating. Because, yeah, the second you touch someone, your car's bent suspension and you're out. But yeah, if I could keep my safety rating, I'd probably do a lot more and try to, because right now when it comes to like for example Super Formula, I'm definitely not that good in it, and I should be doing a lot more of it. And just making sure that you're never too at ease in one car and relying solely on that to do well. I think with how varied the experiences are within sim racing, even just across the same titles, like a Porsche Cup on ACC behaves a lot differently to a Porsche Cup on iRacing. Having those shared abilities across multiple platforms, multiple cars, it makes things a lot more interesting, and I think it really improves your abilities as a driver.
That's a really interesting point because I'm a little bit opposite point of this because I personally think that you have to focus on one car and like work with the data, with telemetry, with your to correct your mistakes during the practice sessions. But it's really interesting that you thinking that if you're jumping from multiple platforms, multiple cars, so probably gaining more experience because of that. That kind of happened to me when I started to do ovals, so that's completely different discipline, and I learned a lot which I didn't learn in road course because having that really close battles. Unfortunately, in road course, most of the time as you're getting in this car, so it's kind of working for me, but I prefer to be in iRacing. Right now, I really like Assetto Corsa Evo, and I'm so excited for it because I really like how car feels here, how it just feels on track when you're driving it, and how the force feedback feels. And unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of the ACC. I just don't understand how to drive GT3s here at all after racing, so I need a lot more time to get used to this.
Are you used to the oscillation on the back when you go around the corner? You're just like, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't get why it does that either.
Yeah, ACC feels a bit weird for me after iRacing, especially with brakes, because you have to really smash brakes in ACC, and yeah, it just feels weird. So I need more time to adapt, because when I switched from iRacing to Factor 2, that was quite easy to adapt, because Factor 2, in my opinion, really close to what we got in iRacing in terms of feelings and how the car feels on track. But yeah, ACC is different for me. But if people enjoy ACC, and that's great opportunity that you can start from console with ACC and then move to PC sim racing. So probably ACC just opened a lot of doors for many new sim racers. Maybe some of them already in iRacing and other simulators also.
Definitely. And also on the note of ovals, yeah, you're braver than me because I tried to do an oval race once. I do not have the guts for it. I admire people who do.
You have to, because oval's just absolutely incredible. And we got this Draft Master series, which is great because people really like to drive Daytona, because that's like a roulette. So you can guess what result you're going to get, and every time you just focus on the race, then I have to survive here, and you're trying to do everything to survive, and you're trying to predict what people ahead of you are going to do, or maybe they started to move in a weird way, and here's a crash incoming. So yeah, it's a great experience, definitely, and give me a lot practice with how to avoid crashes and how to be focus on other points on track when crash happens. So you have to focus on the free space which you see, not be focused on the car which crashed. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing. So you have to try if you're going to have a free time. Why not?
Maybe.
So speaking about cars, so maybe you got your favorite combo like in iRacing, maybe in ACC. So what's will be the car and the track?
Well, I can definitely tell you the car. I when I was starting out on iRacing, I didn't try to like go head first into very long races. I wanted to try and ease myself into it, and the first two endurance races I ever did was actually with a mutual friend of ours, Elson Gianni. We did a race at Road America, a 3-hour one, and then we did the 6 hours of Watkins Glen, which I elected to do the Friday evening time slot, which meant that I was up until about 5 a.m., which was quite an experience. But then when it came time to doing, I wanted to drive prototypes, and there was that in 2023, the event, the MS Charity Race, and that year it was the two GTP cars, at the time the BMW and the Cadillac, and then DBR9 and Corvette GT1, and the GR86. And I know that I wanted to do the prototype in that, and I did it with one of my teammates called Patrick. And I let him sort of like ease me into it. And it was actually quite a. We ended up picking the Cadillac, and it was quite an experience because if anyone did that race and you did it in the prototype, you would know that if you can dodge your way around GR86s, which are basically moving mobile cones, then you can be able to premeditate and go for the right gaps in with any car, because predominantly GT3s are the slowest cars that the Cadillac would race against. And that became, for some reason, I just really gelled with the car, the Cadillac, and driving that, no matter what track it is, for the most part, it was just an absolute dream. It really suited my style, and obviously we all like loud noises, the big V8. As far as tracks go, I mean, I'm a bit of a I'll drive pretty much any track. Um, I've enjoyed quite a few successes at Silverstone. Spa-Francorchamps is another. We drove my team. We entered the 24 Hours of Le Mans Global Endurance Tour race in August, and that was something I'd really wanted to do in the Cadillac. And I'm also looking forward to driving hopefully the 12 Hours of Sebring in a couple of weeks, also in the Cadillac, and then I won't pester anyone else to drive it again. I just need one teammate to do that with. Yeah, basically predominantly most tracks. I'm not really fussed about that, but as far as cars go, quite easily the Cadillac, and I've enjoyed quite a lot of successes in it. I've even won a few championships in it.
I really like also GTPs. First time when I tried GTPs, there was at Daytona. We did 2023 Daytona with ETRS Sport. We had BMW GTP at this time. It was absolutely great experience because I used to drive a lot of prototypes, HPD, LMP2, but then iRacing switched it to Dallara. I didn't like Dallara a lot, and right now, to be honest, I really enjoy GTPs because they fast, they quite easy to adapt and quite easy to manage all in-car stuff. It was really complicated, for example, with LMP1, which we had before that. So yeah, I think the prototypes just bring in like fresh air into our racing and into multi-class racing as well, because they're just great. So I really like these cars. And you mentioned that you won Motorsport UK eSport Prototype Challenge. So can you tell me more about this league and what did that championship mean for you?
Well, the week before this series, I actually won my first ever league championship in another community, and that was quite a good, a monkey off my back, I believe the phrase is. So I didn't try to sort of go into this series with the intention of winning the championship. And for the first 3 rounds, I didn't think I had a chance. I scored about 26 points across 3 races, and it was the penultimate round. Just for some context, I had actually suffered quite a humiliating defeat in the third race. I was second in class, and this was at Road America. I was trying to navigate my way past an LMP3, but that last sector is incredibly, single file. And by the time I was able to get past, not only did one of my teammates come past me, but another guy, and I ended up off the podium. And I was for a week, I was seething with myself. Yeah, it wasn't the best moment. But then, by some miracle, I managed to get myself into the lead in class of the penultimate round, which was at Suzuka. I'd actually been involved in a bit of an incident with who would end up being my main championship rival. Thankfully, I was cleared of any wrongdoing. But it was a huge point swing, and I said afterwards, I've had a win now. If I don't end up winning the championship, I don't expect to. So be it. Thinking I had no chance, but then I saw the points afterwards, and I was like only 3 or 4 behind, and I thought, oh, if I win the race, I could win the championship. And so I for the best part of a week, I was sort of very nervous and anxious. But went into the final race, didn't qualify well. I never typically do. And I just thought, okay, pressure off. I'm not going to win this. Let's go for it. And first lap, bit of a pile up. Managed to dodge my way around that. Got myself fourth in class. My main rival was leading. Managed to muscle my way into third. Settled there for a while. Then the rain arrived. Second place spins off, and I'm easing in very closely on my main rival. But then we pit in. I don't fuel as much because I intend to only go fill up just as much on the second stop rather than a short one on the last. Get out ahead, and then my main rival just starts spinning constantly, and I'm just sort of looking, keep one eye on the relative, and it's like, oh, he's moving in, oh, he's gone, oh, he's opening, oh, he's gone again. And from that last stop, I made the mistake of switching to new tires when it was still raining. I could have kept my current pair, and I wouldn't have lost so much time. I lost quite a lot of time, and he was only like a few seconds behind me. He spun a few more times, which kept giving me like temporary moments to breathe. But then that last lap, oh my gosh, that was an experience. I got stuck behind an LMP3, a friend of mine, and my main rival is like more than a second a lap faster, and he's within range. And then going through the first corner at Silverstone, did I say I was at Silverstone? I don't think I did. First corner at Silverstone, and then navigate my way through there, got on the brakes. I look down again, and the gap is increased. And I was like, he spun again, and it's the last lap. And then I just was like, keep it steady, keep it steady. And I'm in the same channel as one of my teammates who's in LMP3, and it's like, I'm coming up behind you. Don't make it difficult. I'm about to win. And I get across the line, and I am absolutely over the moon. It was probably the highlight of my life, and it's also how I won this shirt, by the way, because Abruzzi was a sponsor of the series, and also got these gloves as well, and racing boots. So I got quite a good deal for winning that championship, and I don't think I'm ever going to. I think I peaked there, in winning the LMDHM championship in this series. It was something I'm very keen to look back on constantly whenever I'm feeling a bit down, and I just remember I've won that championship, and anything else now is a bonus.
That's great experience which you had, and congrats with the first position in this prototype challenge. I hope you maybe going to get it once again, get a win in more serious championships, or maybe you're going to take a part in this one once again. You mentioned some kind of overcoming negative self-talk. So can you tell me more about this? So that happened after you win, yeah, as I understand.
Yeah, it kind of. I'm kind of in that first phase again now, because we just had a really like gut-wrenching defeat last week in the Bathurst 12 hours. We just missed out on a podium, and I not the fault of anyone, by the way, but basically I keep getting into a bit of a vicious cycle, because I really want to succeed. I want to enjoy what I do, but if if you can get an amazing result, you're not going to be like, oh no, I don't need that amazing result. I'm just going to let the other person win. I don't need. No, you want to do it. And not only in the Motorsport UK eSport series, but in the series that I'd won in the week leading up to that, I came very close to my first win, or at least a first really good result, first podium in both those series, and then I keep losing them right at the end, and I just convinced myself, I messed up, you're an idiot, that sort of thing, and it's very all-consuming in a way, letting these things get to me, and I know I shouldn't let it. It's just what we do for fun after all, but you want to care, and that's. In particular, the after the Suzuka race, oh, I'll never live this down. When I won, I was being interviewed afterwards. I was weeping, I was crying, and the commentators were quite taken aback by my response. But they said it was great to see that I cared so much. Overcoming a lot of hindsight is obviously so 2020, thinking that you could have done things so much better in that moment, but you're reacting in real time, and you can really get overwhelmed with emotion. And the best thing you can do for yourself is take the positive that you definitely care about what you do, just and try and keep going, try and learn from it. Like again, the Bathurst 12 hours last week, we were in third place, and then this team were like 3 seconds a lap quicker than us ended up passing us right at the end. And yeah, it was gutting, and I want to think that we'll look back on that in the future after having like a race win, perhaps in another special event, and then we're like, oh well, that was just the temporary low before the great high. But right now we're still in that phase where we're still having to wait potentially for that, and if it's ever going to happen. So it's the reality of what we do. We really care. We want to get the best results possible, and sometimes it can just result in negative feelings. Sometimes self-doubt, and you can overcome it. I know I have multiple times, and I know I will again.
Yeah, definitely. We all get these moments in sim racing and racing. I get a lot of this moments, and I remember I was leading the Pascal Stars race with GT4 at Watkins Glen, and then I think there was Matt Malone and Casey Kieran. They've been incoming, and we just had like I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 laps to go for this race, and unfortunately, crash happened, and I get involved into this crash. I was really upset because I was leading literally like the whole race, most of the part of the race, and that was really upset moment for me. But what I understand right now that just I did my best, and crash happened not because of my fault. And I actually understand that that kind of things can happen because we got people around us, and people can make mistakes. Something can go wrong, like your connection can be lost or something like this. So that's just a part of sim racing, and not every time all things go smooth as we want to. And I just always telling to myself that here's always another one race, which you can win probably, or you can get a really good result in, and you just have to get the most experience from the race which you did. Even here's a crash happen, you still can go watch replay. Maybe you could do something differently, like to avoid this crash, or like you're going to see on replay that nothing you can do, and you going to feel relief because of that. So yeah, my advice to everybody will be just calm down, watch replay, and just get all information which you can get from this incident, which happened, to take this experience with you to the future. And so yeah, I wanted to ask you. So what's your advice will be for sim racers who struggle with some anger, some bad emotions after races or like during races? So what do you think from your side?
Well, relying back to our Bathurst result again, gutting, but the fact is that the team that ended up beating us had actually started on pole, and so they lost 3 positions. We gained
Mm-hmm.
what, 22? We started 33rd, and I did the first 2.5 hours, and I was really happy with my performance. We were like 10th, and throughout the race, I was just like, hey, look, if we could just get a solid top 10 result, I'll be happy. And then we got so close to the podium, and it was just like, I don't know, should we be happy with that? We should. But yeah, I know that it's probably not great coming from me, because I know that I still suffer sometimes with a lot of the negativity, letting things get to me. But all I can say is that the pain is temporary, but the fulfillment, the glory is permanent. We will always have an amazing result that you can look back on, no matter how close you were to an even better result. You'll still have performances out there in races that you will be very fulfilled by, and you'll know that you tried your best, and whether or not you get the result or not, that's all you can do.
Yes, so you started Butters, yeah, not from the first like top 5 position, and I think it's really important to then when you see you getting the podium, I completely understand you that you like I want to get it, and after this you just kind of reset your expectations of the race, and you got the next goal for yourself. I mean, when you're not reaching it, so probably you can feel upset, but you need to get through these emotions, and I think it will be great to look back at the race and see like, oh, we started like from P30, yeah, we gain a lot of positions, we get top 5, and that's definitely a great result, and we can work on our pace for the next race. So I think uh, it should be like this, at least from my side. It's always helping me, because I got the same stuff as you. When you getting the podium, you like, yes, I'm going to get it, and then you lose it in the last moment, and you're like, oh no, that happened again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do just want to point out, like, my teammates, their names are Patrick and Julien, and they were absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to put my. I was definitely the weakest link in that race. I'd started quite early. I woke up after not much sleep. We did the Saturday morning time slot, and when it came round to do our second round of stints, I was completely out of it, and so I just had to try and survive, and then let Juliem and Patrick do it. If I had ran to my scheduled stint time, we probably wouldn't have even been in the conversation for the podium. So, yeah, I just again, you want to have these positive experiences with your teammates, and in this race, none of us made mistakes. You know, like we're so like as a team, we're so focused on just making no mistakes, and if we do, we just have to rebound from there. You know, like. But in that instance, we got so close, and we may never get as close again. But the fact is, we're doing it as a team. This is meant to be a hobby. It's an enjoyable experience for us, and I believe in the importance of surrounding yourself with like-minded, good people who will accept you for who you are. And that's also why I'm so proud to be a staunch supporter of the Screen to Speed initiative, because it allows people from backgrounds that perhaps wouldn't be incentivized into such an environment and given them the opportunity to learn at their pace without any pushback or discrimination of any kind.
Yeah, sim racing overall, I found out through the 4 or 5 years of streaming and being in a racing and being a part of the community. It's really friendly and people just welcome you. I've got some parts of the great Olympus eSport team, and we actually started this team from like 3 people. Now we got just a lot of people. So some of the drivers I don't know and never race with them. And it's really cool to see that sim racing growing, and definitely endurance racing is a part which make sim racing great because this teamwork which you're getting and you communicate with people, it's absolutely priceless. No matter what results you're getting, you just having fun with the team, you improving for the week, you practice together, you can compare your data, you can definitely find some moments on track which you can correct because someone in your team doing this sector faster than you, and that's definitely a good opportunity for you to grow, especially if you got people in the team who faster than you. And I really miss this when I was doing the in real life races. So I was doing karting and I was doing formulas, open wheelers, and I'm being alone on my own on track. And definitely the endurances and team racing, that's the thing which bring a lot of people into sim racing, and I hope we're going to see even more people in the future here. And as you said, Screen to Speed doing the great stuff, and overall, I would say that sim racing environment is really friendly, really welcome, and even compared to in real life racing, because I had some toxic moments, like on the track and outside of the track. So yes, sim racing is definitely more a friendly place to be in.
Yeah, and on the note where you just say there, like I've not been involved in real life racing at all, but I've been studying it a lot because I've been wanting to write a series of books about like a kid who goes on to become an F1 world champion. And one of his best friends in my story is a woman, is a girl, and you see a lot. I saw a lot when I was going to karting tracks all over the country. That's sort of like it's a bit of a boys' club. It's a father and son living vicariously thing, and girls are often discouraged from being involved. And that's what I feel like is so brilliant about what Screen to Speed and do, and all the other major communities out there where there are, inclusive environments, for people who are, you know, of different sex, different gender identities, different like sexualities, races, religions. If it's a safe space for these people to be able to come in and feel like they're not being, no one's being hostile towards them, it's genuinely brilliant, because then they feel like they're in an environment where they can flourish. And and seeing so many people growing up who are actively discouraged from doing whatever it is that brings them fulfillment. That's something that I've always really appreciated about all these various community teams. Like United Sim Team, for example, we are open to anyone who wants to join and who wants to learn, who wants to have fun with this incredible hobby that we have. It just sucks that we live in a world where so many of these people, both in like occupations and also in hobbies, are unfairly treated, and Screen to Speed is doing a lot to correct the course for a lot of girls who never got that encouragement growing up.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with this. That just no one should discourage you to do what you want to do and what you love to do. So no matter if you women or men, if you want to do some racing, like feel free to do this. If you want to, I know, running, if you want to go racing, just do this. And no matter what people going to say to you, and I found out that here's always people who's going to support you. So I had a little incident in iRacing. Some people just bully me in races. They've been following me in every race, and just thanks to iRacing just submit my reports to these guys, and this things completely stopped. And I also met a lot of support at this time from community, from Twitch, from iRacing as well. Many drivers who also race at this time. There was a Indie Pro with me. They also started to like protect me, so that was great. And definitely, Screen to Speed give the place where we can feel safe, and we can also find other female drivers who's doing some racing, and you're like, oh, they doing some racing, I can do this too. So it's really cool to see more girls into this. And we got, for example, the Porsche eSport All Stars this year, and we got 3 girls in it. This is me, this is Storm Melina, Emery, and I hope we're going to get even more girls into eSport events, and so we'll have a like more equal sim racing with a lot of girls and then a lot of guys also in it.
Yeah. On the note there, you mentioned there about those people that were being horrible towards you. As a team, United Cyntium, we run pride flags on our car, and I'm very proud to don those flags, even though I'm not LGBT myself. But I have had instances of people seeing that, like for example, this point last year, I think the week before the Bathurst 12 hours, there was a community called, I won't say their name because it's not a fair reflection on them, but one of their members had actually seen a car that me and one of my other teammates, Bill, had been driving with a pride flag on the spoiler, and went to try and take us out. They didn't know that I was in their Discord because I was going to do an F4 series with them. And I saw that and reported them, and they got disciplined, but unfortunately that is just a rare case of people being punished for what they do. And recently I had someone try and take me out in a sports car challenge race after being in voice chat saying, why have you got a pride flag on your car? It's disgusting that people who feel comfortable treating others in such a way. And we have a long way to go, but starting off by having inclusive community teams like ours and organisers for events like Screen to Speed go a long way into helping correct a lot of these issues.
Oh yeah, I think just when you meet one negative person, you got like I don't know 10 good races, and you meet this one person and just completely ruin your mood. Just because we people, and we can be really sensitive in some moments, and it's absolutely fine. Right now, just trying to not really paying attention to this people, because I always got like iRacing support next to me, I got the community support next to me, and whatever they going to do, the bad things, they're going to be like reported, and iRacing going to deal with them anyway, because so usually I just see that I'm going to speak about iRacing because I'm most of the time in this simulator, and I see that I'm like not meeting these people anymore, so maybe they got some kind of break from iRacing or something. So yeah, that's a good thing that we got a community who also trying to keep our hobby safe from this negative toxic people who just coming and trying to destroy someone's fun instead of having fun with everybody. So yeah, just don't understand these people really, because like you got hobby, you can have fun with it, you can have fun with people around you. Why care about like if that's a girl run next to you or a car with a pride flag? So yeah, I just don't understand these people, but they are part of this world, unfortunately or fortunately, and we got everything in our hands to, make more safe environment for ourselves.
Definitely, yeah.
You mentioned that you've been critical about iRacing pricing structure. So, can you tell me more about this? Because I'm really curious. You said that like some content not using in iRacing. Going to tell that I really don't care about this because people just race what they want to race, like GT3s. I know Formula 4, Formula 3, and yeah, we got some cars, we got some content which not using a lot, like I know Formula 1 maybe, or Mission R, Porsche.
Yeah. No one uses that.
So I'm just really curious about this. So why you care a lot about this?
Right. How long have we got? No, okay. So specifically for me, it's more about the tracks. So for example, I picked up Thruxton and Cadwell Park and Knockhill, for example. Let's just use one particular series. Formula Ford 1600 Open setup, which Motorsport UK eSports have recently just entered into a partnership with, and subsequently have mandated a majority British tracks. And I honestly, as much as I get people's grievances with removing the community input from that, I think that it can still work. But unfortunately, for me, the issue becomes that iRacing are, as much as I like them, they are completely disconnected from the community. They think they can price a very take Cadwell Park for example. It would not be compatible with GT3 cars. It wouldn't, and subsequently not prototypes either, and wouldn't be compatible with even maybe GT4s is like the fastest car that can really race there. And it's going for $14.95 as is the traditional iRacing track cost. But then you've got tracks like Alton Park and Snetterton, which are higher in profile because I think more sim racers know them because they're in ACC, in the British GT Championship, and they are base content in iRacing. Now, I'm not as much as I would love to say everything in iRacing should be base content. We're not in an ideal world. However, they need to realize that not every track is worth $14.95. Like, there's a reason why I saw a meme recently from Apex Racing Team. iRacers, when they're told to race something other than Spa, Monza, Daytona, Road Atlanta, Road America, why should I? Why should I? Because as a result, no one is really parting with the cash to race a lot of these more obscure, lower level tracks that aren't compatible with a lot of higher powered cars. And as a result, Motorsport UK Esports Formula 1600 Open Trophy, bit of a mouthful, I know, is very rarely going official now. And they even went out of their way to pick tracks that are not in the UK, but that are also very low in terms of participation, like Zolder and Saxonring. And it's just like, it's like you want the series to fail. It's like you want people to see all of this content that is rarely ever used elsewhere, and to then not bother, because you've got a fixed setup Formula 1600 series with a lot of all-based content. So why should you then bother trying to buy this track for a series that won't have more than 4 signups? Because then the races won't go official. So then what's the point in ever doing them? In my opinion, iRacing need to take their heads out of their, I won't say where, and then realize that not every piece of content should be priced the same. I mean, look, Earbuff, if you had the idea to go either Spa or Cadwell Park for $14.95 and you had neither, what would you go for? You don't have to answer that. It's Spa. You would go for Spa, wouldn't you? Because it's more compatible with more cars and it's one that so many people will love to drive. And so that leaves Cadwell Park out to dry. Like, there's a reason why that French track, Lebanon, it was added. And then the season after, it became base content. So anyone who bought it then feeling a bit rightfully annoyed that the track is, they're not getting their money back for it. And so, yeah, it's just frustrating because I love iRacing. I love driving it. But when certain pieces of content never end up getting used after you've already paid for it, and in officials anyway, you might go out of your way to coordinate with other communities and leagues that use the content, but the majority of people in iRacing are racing officials, and if they can't get into a race with a certain piece of content, then they're not going to buy it because it's never used, and then subsequently the tracks are never used because no one buys them. And so yeah, it's a source of frustration for me, and I just hope one day iRacing will start tiering the cost of their content, depending on what they think is going to be successful or not.
Well, I think in my opinion, we got the same prices for tracks just because racing doing the same job for any track. Like doesn't matter if it's Spa or Cadwell Park, they going to like get the laser count, get all objects and everything. So in terms of simulator, they doing the same job for each track, and
Mm.
I think it's kind of, I know, not fair, but it's okay. Like if it's cost like $15 for each track, it's okay. For example, if we're talking about ovals and ovals, we got some tracks which cost like $11, I think, and some other tracks cost a bit more. So they got different prices for short tracks. They usually cost less than big speedways, and yeah, for road course, speaking about tracks which people don't use often, yeah. So we see a lot of people like in GT3s running the Monza, Spa, I don't know, Road America, Road Atlanta, but not a lot of people running like Sachsenring, as you said. The reason in it, I think, because people just limit it with the practice time probably, and they probably don't have a lot of time to learn new tracks which we got in iRacing, and they just jump in tracks which they know pretty well, because many people started iRacing many years ago, like in 2012 or even in 2008 or in something like this. So they just kind of don't want to spend time to learn new tracks. We're learning new tracks as a content creators because we want to show new tracks to community. So maybe they're going to run them in some events, in leagues, whatever. But yeah, the reason why people not using content in officials, especially new content and some complicated tracks like Sachsenring, for example, I think that's just because people get used to race Road Atlanta, Road America, because
Yeah.
they're familiar with these tracks, and that's definitely not about the price. And I don't think the price going to change anything, because you mentioned also Lebanon circuit, so it was for the price, and then they made this free, and for the free track also no one raised this.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
that's not changing really anything. Just because people get used to these tracks, they real like this favorites and tracks which we all like, and people like to see you racing like Road Atlanta, Road America. If it's going to be all 13 weeks with Road America, people going to race it, and people going to watch streams.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just wish that a lot of people would get, maybe if they did like package deals, like a few other Sims do, where they create packs of like maybe like a British track pack, for
Hmm.
example, for iRacing. You could have like Brands, Donington, and then maybe like these obscure ones like Fruxton and Cadwell. Just to like have it on there so that people would give it more of a chance. Because otherwise you just see a load of dead series, and maybe the community is just spread way too thin across different tracks and different disciplines. And I don't know. I just want to be able to know that I won't have to go out of my way to find people to then race these tracks with, because there are some amazing tracks out there that just aren't getting the love. Like Barber is another one. I'm going to be picking that up ahead of next season for the IndyCar race, but I just feel like for the regularly scheduled series, Barber won't get a lot of signups. Maybe I don't know. I've checked what signups they get in other series, and Saxon Ring as well. I've specifically asked the guy who's heading up the Sports Car Challenge series, like the forum leader. I don't know, community manager. There we go. to make sure that Sachsenring gets included on the season 3 schedule, or at least have the option there. Because I do want to get it. I do like the track, but yeah, it's just about if I'm going to get my money's worth. And at the moment, I definitely won't be. I have to be careful with and meticulous with what content you pick up for iRacing, because with how expensive it is, and I limit myself to 6 pieces of content every season, so that roughly comes up to about £300 before a subscription. So yeah, it can get exhausting, but I want to make sure that whatever I buy, I'm going to be able to use.
Yeah, I understand you that for some people, iRacing definitely can be expensive because you have to pay for a subscription. You have to pay also for tracks and cars which you want to drive. What I suggest to people that if they want to try, here's always a good discount if you start in the new account in iRacing. You can stick with free content. We got them too. With all free tracks, and we got MX5, Formula 1 600. So when I started our racing, we had only MX5 for rookie license. Right now, we got a lot of more options for that, and that's a really good thing which iRacing doing, in my opinion, because it just opening different categories for people. So you don't have to race MX5 if you want to jump into formulas, and you just can race Formula V or Formula 1 600 and then jump forward into the Formula license, which is great. And if you're getting like 5 items, you get 20% discount usually. And if you own 40 items on your account, you're getting forever 20% discount. So I got this on my account because I bought a lot of stuff in iRacing. So it's really cool because it just really nice to see discounts, and you can buy one car with a 20% discount as you used to, put the kind of bundle with the 5 items to get this. It's really good. So I hope they're going to improve this, and more people will come to iRacing and race in this great simulator and have fun in officials. So I'm with you in this. Definitely, it should be, more open for everybody. And I think iRacing recently, like last 2 or 3 years, they did good job with rookie series and involve some all free content into this because it's great. You can just jump, try it. If you don't like it, you just don't have to buy tracks, don't have to buy cars, because you got opportunity to try it.
Yep. And another car that I'd like on the note of cars, Renault Clio. Don't ever see that going official for the most part, and I got it for, you remember the in 2024 season 1 or 2023 season 4, they did the weekly challenge, which, going back to what I was saying earlier about versatility, different car and different track for every week, and I got it for that, and then I rarely ever use it now, and I just I understand iRacing's model of trying to maximize profits, but maybe if they lowered the price of certain content that isn't getting as much love, they might be able to guarantee a bit more people get it, and hopefully then it will be more worth it.
Yeah, we'll see what will be in the future. Definitely, we can't do anything with their pricing because we're not working in a racing. So hopefully, we just being as sim racers and part of community, going to hope that our racing going to grow and going to hear community also, and maybe get involved more free content also. Maybe I think will be a great idea to make iRacing free for weekends, like some games in Steam usually doing this like free weekends. It's really cool to try for some people without paying even for 3 months subscription. So yeah, we'll see how future will be for some racing. Let's talk about your future. So what's your plans for sim racing for this year and for upcoming years?
Well, I'm definitely at a point now that I'm very satisfied with all that I do. I have a lot of I've seen the announcement for a lot of the annual series that's going to be, like, for example, tomorrow I'm going to be doing the IndyCar iRacing series round at Sebring, which I didn't do last year. I did do like the Road America, Laguna Seca, Long Beach races, but I didn't do Sebring because I didn't have a good idea as to what all that was. And then there's also like the Creventic series. We did the Spa race at the end of last year, in which we got I think we finished 8th, which I'm really happy about. Want to try and do a lot more of those. And I do a lot of the GT Endurance, IMSA Endurance, IMSA Sports Car Endurance Challenge races on the weekends. Obviously, all the special events. And I also plan on doing. Last year, I did 5 solo races in the Nürburgring Endurance Championship, 1 in each car class, and with varied results. And I'm looking forward, especially this year now that the BMW M2 has been added, because that car I think is absolutely brilliant. And I know you were in a race with me recently in the M2 at Laguna Seca, held by Els again, and it was very enjoyable, even if it was quite tricky to drive. So when we can put an open setup on that, then it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes. And as far as everything, I wouldn't mind trying to branch out a bit more to other sims. I'm getting very comfortable in iRacing, and I know I shouldn't be, through my own philosophy, doing that. And I've got my teammate Patrick wants me to do more LMU stuff. He's only just recently succeeded in bullying me into his community, where he's doing a 100-minute race around the Sakia outer layout, because they've just added all the alternate layouts into LMU. And I would love to do. Sophie's in chat now, and I'm really worried that this is going to seem like I'm calling her out. I really want to try and get the whole ACC based Nordschleife 24-hour race off our back, because I'm hoping that Lowfield Motorsport will be doing that again, and I'm just praying that we'll have the team for it, because we did the Nürburgring 24 on iRacing last year. We're going to do it again this year, and and I'm looking forward to it. But ACC, people have been wanting Notchlife on there for years, and then they finally get it right when ACC is kind of dying off. I just want to do one, and any endurance event, and also plan on doing a lot of long haul Formula Car races, like I said there with the IndyCar. Also the vintage Grand Prix Tour that's starting up with the Lotus 79. That's I'm picking up the car. Look, I've already test driven it in demo drive. It's very, very fun. I would recommend it to anyone. Just want to do as many long haul races as possible, be as successful as possible. It's something I need to do. It's just I've rested on my laurels for so long with regards to these high level sim racing events. I'm just really, really keen on doing as much as I can in as little time.
You got really good plans for this 2025. Wish you good luck with all your races. Hope you're going to get podium and good result. Main thing, just I think be focused on your own pace and trying to like getting experience step by step. And the last one, I would like you to give advice to new sim racers, like new girls, boys who's coming into sim racing. So, what will be your advice for them?
Definitely get surrounded by a lot of people that you can trust and that have your best interests at heart. Make sure you don't just surround yourself with people who will not be afraid to criticize, because that's how you improve. So yeah, very much it's important to have the right people around you, ones who can be quite tactful, but also that will be able to make you as great as you can, basically. Just before we end off, I assume that was the last thing you're going to ask. I just want to get this in before we finish. Lebov, you may recall an event we did together called Race Cella, also by Elzindriani. That event, I actually went into voice chat after we finished to say that I was very starstruck to have been racing with you, because I had become such a fan of yours after Porsche eSports All Stars, and to now know that I've just been interviewed by you, it's kind of like a weird subversion in a way. Like you would think that I'd be the one interviewing you for Overtake, but you're interviewing me. But yeah, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and it's a privilege to have been interviewed by you.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you. Definitely I had a lot of fun to talk with you, and it was fun. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so wish you good
Been my
luck.
pleasure.
Yeah, wish you good luck. Thank you so much for being with us, and see you guys. Thank you so much for watching another one in It Talks.
Innit Esports focuses on sim racing events and digital tournaments. They bring esports content to fans and sponsorship opportunities to brands while maximizing audience reach across multiple sports, industries, and platforms. Innit Esports is a woman led company where diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility is in their DNA. And their platform aims to combat bullying and cheating to help make the esports world as safe and fair as possible. To learn more, be sure to log on to www.initesports.gg or follow them on social media at Innit Esports. Join their Discord, check out their YouTube channel, or follow their live content via Twitch.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.